This video explains why so many people in the fitness industry are struggling to get results and what we need to start addressing differently. So we got two graphs here. Let's start with this graph. On the horizontal axis, we've got the degree of dietary change that we ask of somebody. And then on the vertical axis, we've got the degree of physical change that they're going to experience as a result. So obviously, the more dietary changes that somebody introduces into their lifestyle, then the more physical changes that they're going to experience. However, it's the law of diminishing returns. So the more dietary changes we introduce, then the smaller and smaller each subsequent physical change becomes. Now, of course, some dietary changes are going to have a much bigger impact than others. Let's keep things nice and simple. Let's assume that you are doing the basics first. So down here, we might have things like making sure that your client is well hydrated. And then a bit further along, it might be things like making sure that the majority of their food is whole, minimally processed foods. And then a bit further along again, you might have stuff like making sure that they have fresh, high quality vegetables in all of their meals. Let's talk about point A. Point A is a phenomenal body transformation. This is somebody who is in great shape year round. They are lean, fit, and healthy year round. You can get them to that point without counting calories or macros. You can get them to that point with very simple lifestyle principles and guidelines. Visual portion control, making sure that they keep their favorite processed foods in moderation. Then all the way over here, we've got things like counting calories. And then a bit further along, tracking macros. And then all the way over there, carb cycling and calorie cycling and all of these mega advanced strategies. However, look at the degree of dietary change that we're asking of somebody for a tiny little improvement in physical change. And that's if they can sustain it. Because unfortunately, what we find is that counting calories and tracking macros creates the perfect psychological environment for somebody to develop binge eating or a disordered relationship with food. It breeds perfectionism, it breeds this all or nothing mindset. So we have to be aware of the client's capacity for compliance, because in all honesty, the only people that really need to be all the way over here are elite level athletes that compete in a weight class and elite level bodybuilders who are already pushing things to extremes. And even then, for both of those categories, they're not going to do it year round. So going back to compliance, let's look at this diagram over here. So on this graph, the bottom axis is exactly the same, the degree of dietary change that we are asking of the client. And here we've got compliance now, which obviously the more dietary changes we ask for, the less compliance we're likely to get. So let's superimpose this line now on this graph over here. So for this client, this is the degree of dietary change that we want to be aiming for based on that client's capacity for compliance. Now, very important point. This compliance line needs to be seen as a year-round compliance, because sure, some people can push themselves all the way over here for 2 days. And many people get all the way over here Monday to Friday. And then they're losing all control on the weekends. So what we find is that the further you try to push somebody this side of their compliance line, the more aggressive the rebound's going to be on the other side. And again, it's that all or nothing, yo-yoing and swinging back and forth. Now, we can push the compliance line to the right. We can push it over here. We can push it as far as is necessary. What is it that's going to enable us to do that? Well, it's going to be a number of factors. One of the biggest ones, motivation. So many people who are chasing fat loss or weight loss or a body transformation are chasing the wrong things for the wrong reasons. For many people, pain is their only motivating factor that they have any real clarity on. It's like, I hate being overweight, I hate dieting, which one do I hate the least? I'll suffer through that one. But either way, you're stuck in suffering. Then we've got binge eating. Again, let's be honest, the biggest reason, or certainly one of, if not the biggest reason, people are failing in weight loss and fat loss and body transformations is because they're binge eating. Or if you don't like the term binge eating, then emotional eating, mindless eating, grazing, snacking, whatever label you choose to put on it, the bottom line is it a conscious choice or is it a compulsion that feels like it's out of your control? Are there these internal conflicts where part of you wants one thing, part of you wants another thing, and you feel like you're torn in two directions? So that's a critical one that we need to start addressing. Then we've got organization. Organization, being organized actually is, truth be told, really a part of motivation, because you still need to be motivated in order to do your grocery shopping, do your meal prep in advance, making sure that you're planned and prepared in advance and so on. And then we've got things like beliefs as well. If in the back of their mind, your client is thinking, well, maybe I'm just meant to be this way. Nothing really works for me. They're always anticipating when they're going to fail. Then of course, as soon as this gets inconvenient enough, then they're just going to quit. So if you want to have dramatically better results with your clients, then there are two key areas that we need to start focusing on. The first is, what is the system that you're asking them to follow in the first place? Is it all the way over here? Is it complete overkill? Because like I say, for the vast majority of people, counting calories is complete overkill, and in many cases causes more harm than good because of all of these psychological things and binge eating and emotional eating and a disordered relationship with food and so on. So we need to make sure that we're teaching our clients a system that works with their psychology instead of against it. And it's vital that you recognize that this isn't a compromise. As Einstein said, things should be made as simple as possible, but not any simpler. More complicated does not mean better. And then the second area we need to be addressing is all of this mindset stuff. And again, we want to focus on biggest bang for your buck. And let's be honest, binge eating is right up there as number 1 or 2, as one of the most important things that we need to be addressing in order to make sure that our clients are getting the results that they are paying us for. So if you want to learn how to do this, we are launching our emotional eating and behavioral change coaching certification imminently in the next 7 to 10 days. So if you want to know more about that, then click on the link below and you can register for the priority list, and we will keep you up to date on the launch date and everything else that you need to know.